On location at Denver Comic Con 2016, I'm Super Dave Rains for Super Dave Rains and the Big Show. We are here with award-winning author C.R. Richards, author of the epic fantasy novel, The Lords of Valdeon. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I understand you're a huge lover of horror and dark fantasy. Besides your own works, who's your favorite author within the horror and dark fantasy genre?
Ooh, that's a tough one, but I've got to go with Stephen King. Right. And then Neil Gaiman is really good.
Right.
And there's just so many talented people in the horror section. Charlene Harris, who writes True Blood, she's a fantastic lady, and I love her work as well.
Right, awesome. So what is your favorite Stephen King book?
I know, it's the old standard, The Stand. I love that book, read it a million times.
Yeah, is it me, or do they always seem to kind of mess up the movies? And I think they do a TV show about The Stand?
They did, and I got to tell you, the book is always better. I'm biased, but I just don't think you can put the amount of depth that the author puts into the book in a movie with the time limited that you have. So.
Right, absolutely.
Never judge a book by its movie.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what does it mean to be able to attend an event like Denver Comic Con and to be able to participate in panel discussions and to showcase your work?
This is a dream come true for me. I've never been able to get into Denver Comic Con. I've always waited too long, and to be here as an author and a panelist is such a thrill for me. Just the fantastic people, and to be among the other writers. There's so many talented Colorado authors and artists. It's just an absolute thrill for me.
Right, wow, that's excellent. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Jessica.
Hi there, I'm Jessica with the Super Dave Rains and the Big Show. I'm pretty new to this, so bear with me. But I would love to ask you, what is it that got you into the fantasy genre?
Well, I've been writing stories since I was just a little tiny kid. I won my first award for the 3rd grade, the short story contest. But I think it was really my grandma. We're a Celtic and Welsh family, so she'd tell me stories of fairies and gnomes putting candy in my shoes when I stayed with her as a kid. So I've never forgot that sense of wonder, and are there really fairies under the leaves when you walk through the gardens, things like that. She was really fun that way. So I just have always loved those stories, and I just, through adulthood, I kept continuing on to share those stories that I have with everybody that I can.
That's wonderful, and you gotta appreciate when family will kind of cultivate that, seed it for you.
It's very true.
Right.
So what was it like? You come from a military family. Did you move around a lot?
You know, my parents and my siblings did, but before I was born, their last duty station was, and this is how old I am, their last duty station was Anchorage, Alaska. Wow. And imagine having tiny kids in those little tent military barracks type things. So when they moved down to the Rocky Mountain area for a while, my dad was called up to go to Guam, and my mother said, no, I'm pregnant. I'm not going to Korea with 5 children. So he retired, but it was still, we still did move around a lot, but I was lucky I didn't have to move around like the others did. So.
Well, it sounds interesting living in Alaska. I mean, so what can you tell us about your new book, Lords of Valdeon?
Well, it's a dark epic fantasy, and it's really about a man of honor who's trying to keep his country from civil war. And it's also about a young man, and I do call him a change agent, because he has no idea who he is or where he comes from, but taking his life the way he's lived from this little harbor town and bringing it to a world that's much different from his own, he still keeps his values and that sense of community. And he does, in this cruel world that he's entering, he still keeps that pure heart and he really, as we move forward through the series, becomes a change agent by continuing to not look down on anyone else for their different nationalities and their belief systems and even their gender. So I think it's pretty timely for the world we live in today.
So you say the change agent, and I read on your website that your kind of motto, for lack of a better term, is anyone can be a catalyst for change.
Absolutely.
So what does that mean to you?
Well, what I mean by that, and part of what I do for a living, is I have clients who have a dream to make the world a better place, whether it be curing cancer or trying to open health clinics, things like that. I help them to formulate their dream and move them forward through the process. And anybody can do that. If you see something that really captures your heart and you feel strongly about, doesn't matter what it is, how big, how small, you do have the opportunity to change it. Even though you're one person, you just take those small steps and you can change.
That's compelling. It really is. Well, thank you so much. I'll give you back to David.
Thank you.
Okay. Tell us about Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers and Horror Writers Association.
Sure, absolutely. Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers is based here in Denver, but we do have members from all over the Rocky Mountain West.
Right.
So they really take young writers or new writers, and you don't have, like, I'm not really that young, but
Me neither. Even though I may look it.
well, that's right.
Don't be
True. But we take them from the beginning of when you can be a brand new writer,
right,
or an older, long in the tooth writer like me.
Right.
And
more wisdom.
More wisdom. There you go, Dave. I like that. But through workshops and just basically networking,
right,
experienced writers help new writers to grow.
Right.
And I've got to tell you, when I first joined, they're a big part of the reason that I was published, is with their help and their encouragement.
Right.
So that's Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers. The Horror Writers Association, I got to tell you, I Jack Ketchum is a member, and these huge names. They're a huge worldwide organization for horror writers, and they promote
right,
the horror genre,
right,
film industry, writing and
right,
art, graphic art. So they're a great resource for the horror community as well.
Right. Well, I'm a big scaredy cat, but have you seen Conjuring 2?
Not yet. I haven't yet.
Okay. Well, you can actually catch Bryson Lynn's write-up on that on our Facebook page.
Oh yeah, I'm
Super
there.
Dave Rains in the Big Show Facebook page.
I'm there.
So
I'll do that.
I can't watch that stuff. I got to be able to sleep. Let me ask you. I understand you won the 2014 Epic eBook Award for fantasy fiction for Phantom Harvest, Book 1, in the Mutant Case Book series.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be recognized for your work?
It was an amazing experience. I competed against all English-speaking countries, and just to be able to accept that award with all these other fantastic authors,
right?
It was really just an empowering moment for me, because you work on these books so long,
right,
and you struggle and struggle,
yeah,
and then you're recognized by the industry. It was just fantastic.
Wow, that's excellent. So I understand you. Let's see, you have 5 sisters. Is it 5?
I have 3 brothers and 1 sister.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's a pretty big family. Yeah. And your dad was military?
He was a Army Master Sergeant.
All
he was
right,
Bataan Corregidor, and he trained the troops in World War II, and
right,
in Korea, and
right,
a little bit of Vietnam. So
wow,
he was quite
tough guy, right?
Tough guy, except with me,
right?
his baby girl.
Right. Well, CR, thank you so much for your time. and thank you for appearing on Super Dave Reigns in the Big Show at DCC 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, award-winning author C.R. Richards, author of epic fantasy novel, The Lords of Valdeon. For Jessica Morris, aka Miss Marvel, I'm Super Dave Reigns. Until next time, on the love. Thank you.